Alright YouTube, so today's video we're making this in back in the studio again, and today's video is special because this one is one that will probably get not so much emotional, but it'll have some emotions that will probably rise during this video. So if you're here and you clicked the title, 25 years from the beginning to the last DSLR on the 1 series from Canon, you're in the right place. So welcome. Let me clarify one thing. This is 25 years of Canon digital DSLR, not film, because on the film side we have the EOS 1N, many flavors of the 1N, all the way up to the 1V, which is back there in one of these cabinets. I believe it's on this side. And by the way, if you like the new setup, comment down below. This is one that I think we'll probably keep, and then we'll change out the lights, different colors and things like that. But this little light back here that you see, that's another Zion light that I will review very soon. I really am digging that light. I've been doing some different things with that. So if you haven't watched the other Zion light video that I did, head over to the channel and find it. It's the cob light, slightly different from that one that looks like a Star Wars wand. You know, you can don't do that. That's not what it is, but it's a one of those light sticks. So pretty good. So we'll talk about that one later. That's not what this video is about. So what do we have on the table? Up here on the left is the 1D Classic. This is the first digital SLR with an APS-H sensor. It's 1.3 crop, not 1.6, 1.3. And then on the right side, you have the 1DX Mark III, which is still in production today. You can buy it new. So between the two of these, it's 25 years today. I mean, meaning in 2026. So there's a lot going on here. But then, hey, in between this, what happened? That kind of happened back there, the top row. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 more back there. And by the way, this is not an AI-driven video. This is not some bullshit cooked up with a script written by AI talking about cameras that I've never owned, touched, or used or bought with my own money. Everything back there was bought with my own money and in that time frame, right? So over the years, I paid for this 1D Classic, and I paid for this 1DX Mark III, and everything in between. Okay? So this channel does not just talk about fictitious hypothetical nonsense. This is actual practical experience of 25 years of shooting with Canon professional DSLRs. So if you can find another channel that can do that, probably another explorer light that must have been very passionate over the years, probably would have something like this, and has that kind of a journey or history. You're not going to find it that easy. Why am I talking to you about this? So we have many brands today that brag a lot about, my camera can do 14-bit RAW. And your point is what exactly, right? So, and this is the same brand that went to the 12-bit to get the speed when the Sony A9 came out. Obviously now you know who the brand is. But even the 1D Classic, 8 to 10 frames per second, right, on here, it did full RAWs. I mean, it didn't like dummy it down to 10-bit, 12-bit, whatever. It didn't do that. That's what it did. That's what it shot. With the mechanical shutter inside this 1D Classic, this is only 4.1, 4.2 megapixels. But I'll tell you this. As the megapixels go down, obviously the size of your pixels, the buckets become bigger and bigger. As the megapixels go higher on the same if this is your sensor, the size of the sensor doesn't change. The size of the sensor is very similar. However, this is 1.3, this is full frame on the right side. But regardless, let's say the sensor size is the same. One is 4 megapixels. That would have 4 million circles in here, like on this remote. And then let's say on this one on the right is 24 million, for example, if it is, you would have 24 million in the same space. It's not that the sensor grew 10 times bigger. It didn't. So that means each one of the little round dots that you see here now is smaller, which means the light gathering capability per pixel is less, but more pixels together, so it inherently looks like it can gather more light. So the size of the pixels are much bigger, right? And they're measured in microns. So the pixel, the microns on this is over 10, and on something like this is close to like 5 or 6 for full frame, in that range. Regardless, you can get beautiful images out of the 1D Classic, just like you saw with the 5D Classic. This camera has something very special in it, the original. It actually had a mechanical shutter that could shoot at 1/16,000th of a second. And it had a flash sync speed of 1/500th of a second, twice as fast as anything else in the market for a very long time. From a sync speed perspective, most of them synced right around 200, 160 at 200, 250 at, in that range. It was groundbreaking. It was designed for sports type of use, being able to still get a speed light in there, be able to shoot inside an arena. 1600 is the max on the ISO on this, and then you could expand it to 3200. We'll talk about that one at another time, but that's what it could do. Then on the right side, 25 years later, you have a camera that can actually shoot 20 frames per second mechanical. It's insane. It is insane how fast it is. That's not even funny. No brand has something that fast, like with a mechanical shutter that's full frame like that. Right? So the fastest mechanicals that you get in a lot of your mirrorless cameras, the ones that do have a mechanical shutter today, are around 12. That's it. They're like really capped between 10 and 12. 20 here. Right? And then you can obviously do more, with some of the mirrorless counterparts now, because there's nothing mechanical in there. How far have we really come? The best part is there's no video on this. There's tons of video things inside this. So video became the very big thing. That's why mirrorless kind of caught on, because that's the only thing that they had to actually catch on to. So photography actually changed over the years. Right, so now we capture photos like we're capturing a motion picture, right? 30, 40 frames per second, 60 frames per second, 100 frames per second photos. I'm talking photos now. Crazy, right? If you're shooting for money where you're getting paid to get every single shot, then yeah, I can understand you need that. But even with the 20 mechanical in here, I can get pretty much every shot that I want. You guys have seen if you've been on Canon Dam Eagles, a lot of those shots, I don't mention what cameras I shoot them with. Why does it matter? I'd rather show you what my work looks like regardless of the camera that it is. A lot of them are shot with this. The 1DX Mark III. You didn't even know that. You probably thought it's some new mirrorless camera with a fancy lens. Lenses are fancy. The one over there is a 200 to 400 f4L IS. It was made for the Olympics. $12,000 lens. It's not cheap, but the optics, stellar. You guys have seen some of those shots. A lot of these other ones back here, pretty incredible machines. They still work perfectly fine. So, 25 years of history here. And I'd like to announce on this video that I'm going to take you down this 25-year journey on the Canon side, because that's what I predominantly shoot. You can shoot something else that's great, and play. I mean, I'll mention some Nikon things along the way, because they had a lot to do with the back and forth between Nikon and Canon. Sony, yeah, okay, it's there. They became famous because no one else was doing mirrorless, so they became number one, and it didn't even take 5 years for these guys to come in there and wipe them right off of number one. So, do they really even make a difference 25 years ago, like these guys in Nikon? No, not really. Not so much to the photographic history of what's happened in the last almost 3 decades. So, I'm not hating on them. I'm just bringing reality to you. I do have a Sony corner right here, right? They have their own glass cabinet. I love a lot of things that they've done, especially with the Zeiss glass, which you see in this middle shelf here. That's the entire Battis and Otis collection there. So it is what it is. But what we are going to do on this channel is we're going to take this history, and along that history, some of these Sony things will come into play because they played a key role into how these also evolved over the years, and the kinds of things that I mentioned. A lot of video came here. Now you know where all of that is coming from. Then you have, all of these 1D bodies. Then you have the 5D series. You have the 7D series. So we're going to do 3 decades of DSLRs, the ones that I own, right? If you own a different one, and I don't have it, I can make a video, but it's more meaningful when I have the thing in my hand, right? I'd like to do that. If you're interested in that, please subscribe. My DSLR video, that warning, the video that I made in 2025, was one of my most watched videos, and it shows that people really want to know more about this and really want to either go back to it or at least try it, right? Having tried mirrorless and other things. So if that's you, welcome, stay. I hope you stay for the long haul. And we can do some pretty incredible things here. The only thing I'll say as I close out is, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, do it. You're not going to find this content anywhere else. You will find people that are searching the internet to see how they can get views. And when they get those things either through ChatGPT and other places, they are scripting videos, and then they're telling you about this stuff, which is they're literally almost just reiterating what you can find in 30 seconds, wasting 5 to 10 minutes of your time watching a video when they have no practical experience using any of these machines of this caliber. And I mean, could you even afford this back in 2002? 2001. Actually, 2001 was this. I don't know. Did you have $6,000 or $7,000 back then? Most people didn't. I was just crazy, young, stupid. So I figured out how to do it. But took a trip to B&H, and more to come on that. Let me actually talk about this, and I'm not going to give the story away. So each one of these cameras actually has a story, right? It's not by accident. It's an actual story. So it's time to really tell the story, and it goes along with the theme that we've got for 2026, which is enough is enough. And it's really time that you really hear it from people that have lived this photographic era for the last 3 decades, rather than just instant fame on YouTube and just bullshitting their way through views and likes, which is fine. I mean, if you want to, grow the channel here, please do. I think everyone wants that. I want that too, but I want to do it with honesty and without any kind of hidden agendas here. So I hope you'll find a lot of value in this, and you'll stick to this channel, because there's a lot to learn. There's also a lot to explore through these stories, and maybe you have your own story, and would love to hear a couple of your things, what your experiences have been in the comments below, and would love for you to engage on each one of these cameras along the way for the last 25 years on the 1 series cameras, All the ones that I have, I'll do. So then you can actually share yours too. So with that, like, subscribe, be nice to each other, go out there, create your magic. Like I said, enough is enough. Get out there and make it happen in 2026. Happy New Year again, and I will talk to you in the next one. Thank you.